Good morning and welcome to Fluent for Success. You're here today with Stephen Kupchan here in beautiful sunny Florida, and we'll be talking about the motivations, the why you gotta learn languages, why should you pursue to learn another language, and why should you expand on your fluency of the ones you speak already. So we'll start off with career advancement. When you learn a language that you're not familiar with at the moment, or you're trying to improve for your career, and you get better and better, and you can see that your boss notices that you're getting better and better, you can use those skills to improve your success in the company or your own business. You can start selling, you can start promoting, you can even start building your own business to another international market, or doing things that you haven't previously done to target a culture or country that you can speak the language. That's very beautiful, right? The second thing we'll talk about is the prestige about learning a language. You know, when you go up to someone from that country, and for example, I speak Russian, and I can go up to someone in Russia here in America and just start talking to them in Russian, without even introducing myself or asking them if they speak that language, and I wasn't born there, or maybe my appearance does not go hand in hand with where they come from. It's very impressive to people where I can just start talking to them in, whether it's Russian or French or another language. Third, maybe you want to pass an exam. Maybe you're in university or in law school or even in high school, and you're learning a language, that maybe you weren't paying attention the whole class, and maybe you weren't too motivated, or you weren't ready to succeed, but then all of a sudden you woke up and said, you know what, I'd love to learn Italian, or I'd love to improve my Portuguese. So you wake up, you study hard, and there you have. You want to pass an exam, but that triggers a learning technique for the rest of your life. And then you want, maybe, who knows, you want to cross something off your bucket list. A bucket list could be, I'd love to be fluent in Mandarin Chinese by the time I'm 30. Or maybe you want to say, I'd love to go to Spain and live there for 6 months, so I'm going to learn Spanish before I am 32 years old. Or something else that could be a little bit different, like I'd love to learn a certain amount of Asian languages before I die, or African languages, or go to South Africa, or things like that, because certain countries have more than one dialect and more than one language that maybe pertain to your bucket list choices. Basically, when you learn a foreign language, it triggers a positive attitude. You become less prejudiced. You're more understanding. So, for example, an American or another Anglo person who lives in their country, who doesn't travel much, or who doesn't leave their environment, maybe does not know a lot about another culture, or has a bad attitude about certain culture, but then all of a sudden has met or traveled to this place where they want to learn a language. Could be an African language, could be a language from South America, could be an Asian language, and then they start learning, and they become very infatuated with the people, with the culture, and they start accepting other people. They start maybe tolerating certain cultures more, and becoming friendly, and triggering new friendships from this kind of people. As well as another motivation, and something else that's very important, is your analytical skills improve a lot when you study a foreign language. So you open a language book, could be a beginner's book, could be a phrase book, could be a dictionary, and you start seeing, okay, here is where it starts with the beginning and the beginner's phrases. And then as you go on, you see it becomes more difficult. So you start memorizing the phrases that you would start off with, just to say hello and introduce yourself and talk about your family and talk about your likes and hobbies. And then as you go on, you want to start seeing and analyzing how the verb tenses are, and how, for example, in Spanish there's AR, ER, and IR verbs that you'd like to memorize and use. And in other languages, maybe you have a neutral tense that you don't have in other languages, and you have a feminine and masculine tense. So you start analyzing what works and how you can definitely improve as you go on. And those analytical skills you can definitely use in the future for jobs or other entrepreneurial endeavors. Your business skills are definitely improved with foreign languages, because what I was talking about earlier is when you speak Spanish and you're an entrepreneur and you're self-employed, you can target a whole other world that you've never had at your disposal. You can target people from Spain and have a culture of the Mediterranean and Iberian. You can target Mexico, which is completely its own bracket of culture. You can target Central America, which is also very unique but different to, Latin American places such as the Caribbean. So every place where you learn to speak and promote in Spanish is completely other world, because although they speak the same language, trust me from experience, every Spanish-speaking country is different culturally, is different geographically, ethnically, and among other things. Another thing is creativity. It's increased drastically when you study foreign languages, because you become creative of how you study, you become creative how you organize yourself with these foreign language. What time of the day you study certain things. Maybe you want to start off with 10 verbs a day, or maybe you want to start with a few adjectives a day and see how you can combine them and use them together. Or maybe you want to study different topics every day regarding, for example, today you want to learn about travel topics or travel words in French, and then tomorrow you want to learn about everything to do with cars and the mechanics and the sales of cars, because you're in the car industry and you decide to move to Paris. So I want to learn, French cars, names of parts of the car, and among other things. As well as, who knows, you'd go to a restaurant, a French beautiful restaurant here in Miami, and you want to order the whole dinner, all dessert, and even the wine to a beautiful sommelier just in French, Italian, or whatever language you seek. Another thing is, when you do study these languages, I can guarantee you from experience that your listening skills and your memory definitely improve. Because when you listen to YouTube videos or to other native speakers over and over again, you kind of adapt that language. So although I'm not fluent in Chinese or practically don't know anything about it, if I go to China and hear a lot of words in Chinese and Mandarin, and I know all about what they're talking about, or hear everything they talk about every single day, to be able to say, okay, this is thank you, 谢谢. This is you're welcome. This is goodbye. This is that means cat. This means chicken. So when you adapt to an environment, you're more likely to have wonderful listening skills that translate to fluency in the future. And when it comes to memory, when I read the word perro, which means dog in Spanish, 100 times before I knew what it means, it comes in my head. It kind of illuminates as a picture in my memory, so I know what it means. As well as, build things like a building, things like a car, things that might interest me in my, with hobbies, with business. When you memorize that word, it kind of translates to a picture when you see it. The second last one we'll talk about is basically you can travel to never discovered countries or places. You want to feel safe when you do that. So if I learn Vietnamese out of the blue, I decide I'm 26 years old, I live in America, but my goal is to learn Vietnamese because I want to spend 6 to 8 months in Vietnam. I will study Vietnamese very intensively. Wake up, study Vietnamese for an hour, go to the gym, live, work, come back after lunch, spend another hour on a complete other part of Vietnamese, and then at night before bed, of course, practice and listen to Vietnamese cartoons, listen to Vietnamese TV, speak to Vietnamese speakers over Skype or WhatsApp, and definitely improve. So when I go there, I've had a tremendous amount of knowledge and experience. I still look like a white guy from Europe or wherever you want to say I'm from, and I arrive and I start talking to them in an advanced level. Of course, I won't be fluent because I haven't lived there or immersed myself, but I'll be at such a level where I can kind of trick them to thinking I grew up there. I may not know the language, but I'm very good at it, and that makes you safe. People cannot take advantage of you when you're traveling. You will not be hustled, you will not be robbed, and you will gain respect from the people. As well as, if you want, you can definitely advance yourself in the country, and you can, of course, do things that you've never done. Last but not least, let's talk about confidence. You can see I'm very confident when I speak to you. I'm very confident when I speak to someone in Spanish, when I speak to someone in French, and all the languages I speak. Confidence is a big thing. It's a great personality trait that you want to have when you go places. You meet someone from Russia, you meet someone from France, you meet someone from another country where you're not native to the language, however, you're amazing at it. You can introduce yourself, you can tell them all about your experience, and you can do things you've never done before. This is my motivation. There's many other reasons why you want to learn other languages. There's many other reasons why you need to have a why when you study these languages. Think about yours, take in mind, and please wake up every morning with a positive attitude, a go-getter attitude, and why you should learn different languages. Thank you very much, people. I love you all. Please come back to Fluent for Success.